Let's begin.
The weather outside sure is bitter cold, and most of us are left in want of something warmer. But remember to be careful what you wish for, or you're liable to get burned. So come warm yourselves by your monitor screens for a charred, charming tale sure to light your horror-starved ears on fire. The Char Man.
It was the beginning of summer vacation, and I was ready to spend my summer lounging in my room, playing video games in front of the air conditioner. However, my dreams of gaming the days away were interrupted by the sound of my dad yelling from downstairs. "Alexis! Joel! Wake up! It's time for a family meeting!" I heard him yell. Damn it, I thought, as I slowly climbed out of bed and got dressed. I walked out of my room and found the door to the upstairs bathroom closed and locked. Pounding on the door, I yelled, "Come on, Alexis, hurry up. I have to piss like a racehorse." "Use the bathroom downstairs, dweeb," she yelled back. "Come on," I yelled. "I'm not gonna make it," I continued. "Guess you're just gonna have to piss your pants then," she yelled back at me through the door. I gave up the battle and quickly ran downstairs, passing my family in the living room and running into the downstairs bathroom, which was thankfully open. When I came out of the bathroom, I found the other 3 members of my family in the living room. My mom and my 5-year-old little sister were sitting on the couch together, and my dad was pacing around the room, waiting for me and my sister, who was still upstairs in the bathroom. Like a lot of teenage girls, she had to spend 20 minutes in front of the mirror before starting her day. I joined my family in the living room and sat down in the big armchair across from the couch, where my mom and sister sat, where we waited for my sister to get done with her daily makeup routine. Finally, Alexis came jogging down the stairs and joined us in the living room. "It's about time," I said. "Whatever," she replied. "Thanks for letting me use the bathroom," I said sarcastically. "Oh, boo-hoo. Sorry you didn't get to wax your weasel in my bathroom," she replied. "Hey now," my dad interrupted. "I pay the bills. It's my bathroom. And really, Alexis," he continued, before pointing to Kimmy. "We have a weasel?" Kimmy added. No, honey. Alexis was just telling a joke," Mom quickly answered. "Why can't I have a weasel?" she asked. "Enough about weasels," Dad interrupted again. "I'm sure you're all wondering why I called for this family meeting." "Another lame vacation?" Alexis added, sounding annoyed. "Lame vacation? No, a great vacation," my dad answered. "Every summer for the last, for as long as I can remember, Dad had dragged the family along on this crazy and oftentimes stupid family vacations. I don't know why I even thought I could spend my summer playing video games. I knew my dad was going to drag us on another stupid trip across the country. Last year, he took us to the world's largest rubber band ball, and the year before that, a house made completely of aluminum cans. Not to mention every roadside freak show from California to Maine. Like I said, stupid. I could only guess what he had in store for us next. The world's largest cat? The world's smallest chair? Maybe it would be a house made of plastic bottles this time. With his crazy ideas, anything was possible. I could only hope that this year it would be something more interesting. Maybe Disney or Hollywood, maybe. That would be cool. "We're going up to see your cousins in Oregon," he exclaimed, overjoyed with this idea. "Yay!" Kimmy shouted with glee. Alexis and I just slumped back in our seats. Yay, I said, overflowing with sarcasm. Woohoo, Alexis said in the same unenthusiastic tone. Kimmy was happy to see our cousins because she got to go play with the twins, Jesse and James, who were also around her age, whereas Alexis and myself would be forced to hang out with their older brother, Brock. He was a total asshole, and to say that I didn't want to see him was an understatement. Last time they had to come visit us, and Brock had spray-painted a giant red dick on the side of our neighbor's house, and then he blamed me. I nearly got arrested for it, and was forced to paint their house back to the original white paint. I hated him. I hated him with a passion, and now I was going to be forced to hang out with him again. I dreaded what kind of trouble he would blame me for this time. So, you better all get packed and ready, because we leave tomorrow, my dad said happily. Tomorrow? Alexis said, obviously pissed off. But I have a date with Tommy on Friday, she yelled. Well, Tommy will just have to wait, won't he? Dad replied. Alexis grunted, before storming out of the room and stomping up the stairs to her room, where she slammed the door behind her. The rest of that day was pretty stressful in our household. None of us seemed particularly enthusiastic about the trip, except for Dad and little Kimmy, that is. Mom wasn't even too excited for it. She hated spending time with Dad's side of the family, and Aunt Susan was no exception. She particularly hated my dad's sister, and I don't blame her. She was a typical stuck-up rich bitch. I didn't like her much either. That night, we packed our clothes and things we needed for the trip. Alexis probably packed a suitcase full of makeup, and Kimmy probably packed a bunch of stuffed animals. I packed my old Game Boy and some games, along with a bunch of batteries that I had stockpiled for it. I was going to need it on this trip. If I had to hear another of my father's renditions of Achy Breaky Heart, I'd have to kill myself. Which reminded me, I better pack headphones. The next day, Dad woke us all up as he usually did the morning of his crazy adventures. He and Mom cooked a big breakfast. Bacon, eggs, pancakes, and sausage, hash browns, and a nice tall glass of chocolate milk. That was the one thing we didn't hate about those days. We always had a great breakfast. After breakfast, we packed up the car and began our trip. We left our home in Southern California and made our way north toward Oregon. We left a couple of days early. It should have only taken us a day to get there, but our dad was surely going to stop at every tourist trap between here and there. So he gave himself ample time to explore the sights. The first place we stopped was the roadside freak show about a half hour up the road, Crazy Curtis's Quirky Curiosities. It was a tradition to stop at this place every year for some reason. I guess Mom and Dad wanted to see what new crap this guy had put together, but he barely ever had anything new. The place was filled with the usual weird stuff. Come see the two-headed cat, or lay your eyes upon a real mermaid, all of which were obviously stitched together, probably in a room in the back that they only used once every 3 or 4 years. We spent about an hour or so looking through the constructed oddities, and then we left again. Further north we went. As we drove through Los Angeles and stopped and saw the Hollywood sign, unfortunately, this was about as much as we had seen of Hollywood, and soon we were on the road again. We drove up and around toward Ojai Valley. It was there, outside of a national forest, that we stopped at an information center near Camp Comfort County Park, just south of Ojai. We stopped here, off the beaten path of the highway, and had a bite to eat at the picnic table outside. There, we seen a tour, led by a man dressed in an old Smokey the Bear costume. The costume had obviously been used for years, and had been torn and stitched back up in several places across its body. While my family ate, I decided to catch up with that tour. I didn't have much else to do and I wasn't hungry, so I figured, why not? I caught up with the tour when Smokey, the ragged bear, began to talk about the fire of 1948. He talked about how the fire had swept through the forest and that many homes had been destroyed. It was what he said at the end that caught me off guard. No one was recorded to have died in the fire, but we here in Ojai Valley know better, the bear said. There were two, a woman trapped in her home, and the Char Man. The bear finished, his tone becoming more ominous. The Char Man? I found myself asking. Clueless as to whom the Char Man was, practically everyone in the group turned to look at me. You don't know the legend of the Char Man? The bear asked me. No, I replied. I couldn't have been the only one here that didn't know about him. The legend goes, in the fire of 1948, there was an old man and his wife that lived at the edge of the forest. Their names have been lost to history because all of the town records were lost in the fire as well. Anyway, the wife had fallen ill and was bedridden. The husband was a firefighter and spent hours in the woods and around town fighting the fire. Then the wind turned and the fire headed straight for his home. The man rushed to his house and began attempting to stop the fire before it reached his home, but the flames were already too close to it. He had to save his wife, so he turned and ran toward the house. Unfortunately, the fire had weakened one of the trees, and it tumbled to the ground, falling and trapping the man beneath it, mere yards from the door of his home. The flames engulfed him, and he was forced to listen to his wife's cries for help as the flames engulfed his house. Her unable to get out of bed, and him unable to save her. Legend has it that the man's spirit haunts these woods, and if you go into the woods at night, you can see him. His skin burned away, driven mad by the flames. The bear finished his creepy story. It was then that I noticed several families had broken away from the pack, realizing that the story was not appropriate for their young children, and I don't blame them. That was pretty crazy. The rest of the tour then continued, the bear changing from his ominous tone back to his normal voice, and the tour left me behind, leaving the thoughts of the story that I had just been told stirring in my mind. I made my way back to my family, who were just finishing up their sandwiches. I grabbed a soda out of the cooler before my dad stuck the cooler back into the car. We all loaded back into the sardine can and off up the road we went. We weren't on the road very long before we hit another vacation tradition, getting lost. We were lost in the middle of the woods. I think we took a wrong turn, our mom said. No, we're fine, Dad answered, unsure of himself. Another turn and another 10 minutes down the road, my dad changed his tone. Let me check the map, Dad said, before pulling over to the side and grabbing the map from Mom. Dad mumbled as he looked the map up and down. This isn't right. We got turned around, he said, before attempting to turn the car around and go back the way we came. It was then that things went wrong. The tire of the car exploded and went flat. God damn it, Dad swore. Henry, Mom said to Dad, scolding him for swearing in front of Kimmy. Dad stormed out of the car, mumbling something under his breath, and then I heard another loud, God damn it, from him. A broken bottle on the side of the road had blown the front passenger side tire. We were stuck here, and the only phone was probably about a 2-hour walk back the way we came. After some complaining, Dad grabbed a soda out of the cooler and told me to stay here with my mom and sisters. "Hurry, Henry. It's gonna be getting dark in a few hours, and you don't want to be stuck out here at night. Who knows what's out here?" my mom said. "Yeah, hurry, Daddy. I don't like the dark," Kimmy added. My dad promised he would get there as quick as he could and began his trek back down the road from where we had come. The rest of us climbed back into the car and waited for Dad's return. I decided to spend some time doing something fun, so I plugged the headphones into my Game Boy and began gaming. I was going to play some video games this summer, one way or another. A couple hours passed and Dad had still not returned. The sky was starting to turn a beautiful orange color as the sun began to set. It would soon be night, and we would be stuck in the middle of nowhere. I continued playing on my Game Boy and didn't stop until my sister Alexis nudged me. "What the hell?" I asked, annoyed with her. "What's that?" she asked quietly, trying not to disturb Kimmy, who had fallen asleep. Alexis was pointing out the window at something deep in the woods. "It looks like a flashlight," I said, squinting at the light deep in the woods. "No, I don't think so. It looks more like a fire to me," she continued. "Maybe it's a lantern," I told her. It was then that I realized that the light in the woods was getting larger. Maybe it was a bonfire. Then the light got larger and larger. A fire was raging in the woods. I thought the forest was on fire for a second. "Oh my God, what's that?" Mom said, also staring at the fire within the woods. The fire got even larger, and then I realized the fire was not getting larger. It was getting closer. It was like a self-contained fire that grew closer and closer. And then I saw him. A burning man within the fire. At first, I saw just his figure, blurred within the flames, the fire singeing and charging the foliage around him. But none of it caught fire. I saw more detail as he came closer. His skin was all burned away, and only charred flesh, clinging to exposed bone, was left upon him. The fire did not burn him away to nothing. Instead, it seemed to be part of him. It was him. It was the Char Man. My family began to panic as the specter grew closer. The calamity had awoken Kimmy, who began screaming at the top of her lungs at the first sight of the burning corpse that approached our car. All of us were screaming in panic, and we didn't know what to do. Then, my mom did the only thing she could think of. She quickly crawled into the driver's seat and flicked the ignition on. Quickly, she thrown the car into gear and put the pedal to the metal, taking off down the road on the exposed rim, leaving the burning ghost in the darkness behind us. It wasn't until the car could literally go no further that we stopped. All of us were still in shock as to what we had just witnessed. Sitting there, quiet in the darkness, our blinkers still on. It was then that we seen headlights of a tow truck coming down the road ahead of us. Dad had found some help. It cost quite a bit to get the car back on the road after Mom had run it on the rim, and Dad didn't believe our crazy story. We didn't make it to our relative's house that year. After a night in a hotel and all the money it cost to repair the car, we didn't have the money left for the trip. But that's okay. I was just thankful to be away from that place. Away from the Char Man.
Well, if anyone has marshmallows, now's the time. Then again, it doesn't seem like this fire's going out anytime soon. But if you're starved for more terror, stop by for a plateful next weekend. And until then, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can catch you all again next Saturday.